Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for today's webinar on reimagining chemical manufacturing, a digital, sustainable, and scalable future. Organized by Indian Chemical News, India's #1 news portal on chemical, petrochemical, and energy sector, and ProLeiT by Schneider Electric, which has been providing solutions for industrial automation, process control technology, and manufacturing execution system, MES, for the last 30 years and has more than 2,100 production facilities in over 110 countries. Let me introduce you to our esteemed speakers for today's e-conference. Rupark Sarswat, Chief Executive Officer, India Glycols. Mr. Rupark Sarswat. He is a chemical engineer from IIT BHU. In his earlier roles, he was MD for Silox India. He was also MD for Croda India, Regional Operations MD Asia with supply chain responsibility for Asia and sites in India, Japan, Singapore, and Japan. India, Japan, and Singapore. He has also been on the Global Life Sciences Sector Board for Croda. He brings wide experience in the chemicals domain, working in various roles in operations, supply chain, and business management. He has been vice chair of the CII National Committee on Chemical and Petrochemicals and has chaired several subcommittees, which include Subcommittee for Transportation of Hazardous Goods, Subcommittee for Feedstock. He currently chairs the CII Subcommittee on R&D, Innovation, and Digitalization. Welcome, sir, on this webinar. Ajay Kumar Gupta, Executive Director and Chief Manufacturing Officer, Aarti Industries Limited, with over 3.5 decades of industry experience. Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta has held senior leadership roles in renowned petrochemicals and specialty chemicals manufacturing companies such as IPCL, RIL, and Jubilant Life Sciences. Throughout his career, he has been recognized for his expertise in manufacturing operations, technical services, project commissioning, sustainability, operational excellence through business digital transformation, etc. He has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Hartford Butler Technical University, Kanpur. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Jagdish Pranami, Associate Vice President, SRF Limited. Mr. Jagdish Pranami takes care of electrical instrumentation and advanced IoT projects at SRF Limited. With 29 years of experience in project design and plant maintenance, Mr. Pranami has handled chloralkali, coal-based CPP power plants, fluorochemicals, specialty chemicals, multi-product plants, and digitization. He utilized the latest and most advanced technology in projects. Mr. Pranami holds a B Instrumentation Technology degree. Thank you, sir. Mr. Frederic Vanhove, Head of Global Sales, Industrial Automation, ProLeiT by Schneider Electric. He has joined from Germany. He has around 20 years of experience in the industrial automation field in multiple engineering, business, and leadership positions over multiple geographies. With a strong business acumen, he is having expertise in helping customers with Industry 4.0 needs, encompassing cybersecurity, IoT, OT, convergence, digital transformation consulting, and the power of software and analytics for supporting business needs. Thank you, Frederic, for joining us. Ms. Verena Mersmann, Branch Leader, Chemical Life Science Business, ProLeiT by Schneider Electric. Ms. Verena Mersmann is a Branch Leader for Life Sciences and Chemicals at ProLeiT, a company that provides automation solutions for the process industry. She is also involved in Schneider Electric's operations as ProLeiT is a subsidiary of the company. Verena is known for her expertise in areas like process orchestration and sustainability within the chemical and life sciences sector. Thank you, Verena. The key discussion points that we are focusing on today's webinar is balancing parameters with industrial automation, process control technologies, and manufacturing execution. Then we are focusing on initiatives that are being practiced in making the batch process more efficient, in how digitization will help in improving manufacturing efficiency of the plant, and how one can quantify efficiency improvement in manufacturing. Then how can MSMEs and standalone players benefit from this process of digitization? How paperless production help in increase efficiency and sustainability with the use of digital production protocols? How do you think ProLeiT as Schneider solution bring differentiation in managing batch processes? Real-time visibility, which helps in providing full transparency with integrated process visualization and continuous recipe and materials management, ensuring consistent quality and traceability. And and getting a real-time visibility. And the last is on the look at process automation and digitalization solutions for the chemical industry with a special focus on open automation approach. This is the ICN play and win context. This is just to motivate the delegates who are participating in this webinar. Let me brief you about the contest. The moderators will be asking questions from the audience during the course of the session, and the one who responds first with the correct answer stands eligible for winning rupees 1,000 gift voucher from Amazon. All the questions will be asked by the moderator of the session, and the replies need to be given in the chat window. I'm stressing on the word. All the replies need to be given in the chat window box of your respective screen on Zoom platform. Final winners to be announced at the close of the e-conference session today at 4:30 p.m. IST. Terms and conditions: only the person with correct answer responding first in order of priority shall be declared winner. Organizers and sponsored partner employees are not eligible to participate in the contest. Organizer decision to be treated as final in case of any discrepancies. Gift vouchers to be sent electronically to all the winners post completion of the session. Just a brief on Indian Chemical News stats. Page views 1,75,000, users 1,02,000. Newsletter goes to 58,000, open rate 33%, and click rate is 11%. LinkedIn followers is around 81,358. With this, I end my presentation. Let me now move to the second part, which is the presentation from Ms. Verena Mersmann, branch leader, chemical life science business, ProLeiT by Schneider Electric. So I would ask her to give her presentation, and the topic of her presentation is Reimagining Chemical Manufacturing, Efficiently Managing Your Batch Processes in the Chemical Industry. So over to Verena Mersmann.
Thank you, Pravin. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. And as said, I want to invite you to a short journey on how reimagination journeys can look like and how they can help you, or give you some inspiration how to manage your batch processes in the future more efficiently and ready for future things in this case. So as being said, I'm Verena, and I'm your tour guide for this little journey. So today's automation landscape has hundreds, if not thousands, machine connected products like PLC, smart senders, and IoT boxes, and even more. You will imagine even more if you just think about it. Each of those devices has its own software, its own needs to be orchestrated and to be fully integrated in the production line or in the architecture you have set up now. And they have to operate together. But to be honest, the automation systems and software that is used are still mostly very specific, supplier specific, bringing isolation into islands. There is a lack of standardization in the industry of automation, and this is leading to a lack of choice for all your path forward. We call this situation a jungle. Your daily challenge is to navigate through this jungle. If it's not personally you, it's your team. Each species in this jungle is specialized to survive. With updates, no clue. No cybersecurity issues. Everybody is sitting in their own thing, not really willing to work together. And this makes it a very difficult place to be, and especially to survive. This analogy refers to, let's say, PLCs, IoT boxes, small brains that are interacting like the society. They're closed, they're not compatible, they're making it very inefficient for the overall system alongside the life cycle. So how can industrial automation operators get out of this jungle? How can you get out of this jungle, enabling your team? At Schneider Electric, we see there an answer with software-defined automation. Nevertheless, before we're joining into this topic, let's just shortly recap what are today's challenges. We are challenged by the increasing product variants to be reconfigurable. as fast as possible. We already saw and heard about the zoo of hardware and software, and we are also bringing up a lot of talent gaps. This is immense complexity we are facing, and we need to reduce it. There are a lot of regulation and sustainability goals to meet, and we also need to have reliability on the product life cycles. The changing environment forces us to efficiently react, to have a specific point of resilience, and we also have to cope especially with the resources, raw material, energy prices, people, and how they are available for everything. In the end, this is just for a main goal, for a main challenge. It's the efficient time to market. And therefore, there is optimization needed in design, in building, in commissioning, and especially in maintaining the systems. The question I have here is this still the same starting point where we started the industrial revolutions, where we started to automate processes? And is it the same intention why we started to automate the processes? Furthermore, with the given complexity, can we still handle this complexity with typical known process control and benefits? So when we are looking to find a response to the changing world, we also might see that not only we, but also the environment is reluctant to change. That is fairly widespread, and it's absolutely human that we tend to avoid risk. But today, we also have to think how to move forward. We can't stick where we are. The challenges are massive. So when your team is maintaining your plant and is used to traditional systems and to the traditional areas, there is already a preset of prescription things blocking innovation. What if we could have something more advanced? What if our predictions, your predictions, would react like a modern car you have or your smartwatch? What if it's suggesting what to do and preventing things to break? The system would know that a sensor is broken. It would inform your workforce, especially the maintenance team. It will automatically find a bypass route, inform the production operators, inform the production management, get the fixing note whenever maintenance is closed, and reroute the system again. And in parallel, all the actions of the system and the operators and all these behind the scene activities will be tracked, massively reducing downtimes and still ensuring time to market. Too good to be true? Let's see. We spoke about software-defined automation as the Schneider way, the ProLeiT Schneider way. We see a way through. So what is this? The mission of software-defined automation, if you also want to follow this path, is to get out of this channel, for sure. So there are three key pillars. We need an open ecosystem, no islands, communication bases. We need best-in-class equipment, because then we can serve best and produce best. And we need something like a digital manufacturing solution. Those three pillars are the backbone of our next generation automation architecture. And we're sure this is enabling a true digital transformation. Within this, we will enable the plant to be modular, acting flexible, secure, and as far as possible autonomous, and meanwhile focusing on sustainable and resilient production. So how could such an ecosystem look like? what is the ecosystem we at ProLeiT and Schneider think about? In Schneider, we call it ecostructure, and it's given in 3 layers. It's combining the connected products with several specialized edge control offers. Some of them you have for sure already seen in your predictions, and little helper offers. So apps, analytics, and especially services that helps to provide further insights. And for sure, all of those are open to third-party systems and products on every layer, as well as interconnectable. And this also whilst covering all life cycle phases of a plant. In the ecostructure, on the base layer, we already saw best-in-class equipment. They're small products, but this is also equipment. It's an asset, it's a small equipment, whatever you reference it in your company. But what else can be best-in-class equipment? Well, let's think big. Every machine, every skid, every line or every production area is at the moment connected to a central system. Process control system, SCADA layer, however you're gonna call it. And this gets also some inputs from an MES, from an ERP system about materials and orders to produce. Could be also by a human interface. Given the fact that today all of the components and layers are mainly black boxes maintained by system integrators, POEMs, the supplier itself, we often have to reinvent interfaces, digging deeply into data exposure to interface problem. So what if we establish a more harmonized way that significantly eases integration of anything? Imagine each component is a closed module, but providing an open and accessible interface, a process equipment assembly system. In some theories, they all use a common way of how to receive commands and how to present the information to a centralized process control system layer, and even using a common protocol. With that done, we would have a very open, fully hardware agnostic situation. There are protocols like MTP and that are already based on OPC UA, providing a minimum of this infrastructure. And honestly speaking, we are ready for modular production. Now it just requires a smart and adaptable, fully agnostic, smart process orchestration layer solution. We at ProLeiT by Schneider Electric already proved that our batch orchestration system acts like a process orchestration layer, and even more. The plant core becomes the brain of the plant, interconnected, flexible, event-driven, and knowledgeable of past, future, and the actual moment. So it is easy to plan and adapt without deeply digging into interfaces, data shared, or other things. Prerequisite for sure is not only the fully agnostic of the system, but also the accessibility and the open protocols of the process equipment. This is already paving the way to the third pillar, because this is enabling digital manufacturing. The question is, are you already ready for digital manufacturing? Be honest. How many of you are still using paper to collect operation information of your equipment, of your orders, or even manually transferring into digital tools, Excel, SAP, other systems. Did you know that one of the best jokes of our industry is that Excel is the most used MES system, but we are still asking for MES. So what would it take to move forward? A modern data infrastructure assigning specific focus areas or event and data requirements to the established automation pyramid layers. There are sensors, there's control. Let's call it distributed edge, put in there some connectivity rules, what they have to exposure, enable real-time control and near real-time processing. Then you have control, SCADA and MES. Edge devices workloads have to be balanced, it has to be orchestrating. There is time series data to evaluate and event data to orchestrate and arrange the process efficiently. And furthermore, we need to visualize to make it steerable. There is need for the cloud. There are apps and analytics, and also a classical reporting phase to the ERP. So the question is how to digitize efficiently to ensure this data flow over the several areas. Well, I would say let's try to move from paper to glass first, and therefore do an exercise. I guess all of you or many of you know the left side picture. It can be planning, it can be manual instructions, it can be how your production looks like. There are also some that are getting this information via email, and I think the most used one, if it's not still in paper, is still Excel. At least this is what we in ProLeiT and Schneider see most often. But what if we bring this to glass, already predefining rules and learning with every change if this was an exception or a typical scenario to plan better? What if we can also change in the situation of a breakdown and easily replan and get the actual status? Solutions are there. Another example, I think you also remember and find your way into the left-handed picture again, where you have the manufacturing instructions, SOPs, and however you're gonna call it. Some are already given in a recipe structure, but only piecewise, a lot of things previously to do. What if we could use a system, and I've already used the system, to design the same process description, including manual steps, manual inputs, as well as the automation parts you already have in a complete process description. And let this process description guide us alongside the production. What does this mean? We guide along the process with the parameters and the information to be manually typed in, but not on paper, yet already on the interface. Not caring if the equipment is a scale, not caring if this is a quality system we're getting the data from, or a person that is gathering any information. We just attach it alongside the process. And for sure you see and also recognize the typical process screens. But if you see these process screens, you already have to guide and structure and control your production. Is this information of the process still relevant? Do we need to control a process we have already known, we have automation in and we are able to control? Or is it a difference? All these unknown things that hijack our processes? Are these the important things to know? So next to visualizing the data flowing and taking all the information in the process, for us, we define that it's crucial to not only guide the operator and show the running process, but also to highlight where the process was broken. What are the exceptions we have and what we see to gain a single pane of truth? So enabling review by exception will help us to get further insights. And if we just drive it a little bit further, based on this data, we can go also into the optimization of our process, which is today mainly given on a somehow databases and a lot of guessing work than more informed decisions. So also there are tools for the line and production, for example, for the cleaning, and depending on your processes, also for the variances to optimize what you do. And for sure, this is also based on process knowledge. So there is always a consultant's package, some individual noses that also have the experience and see other ideas than you are sticking in the typical day-by-day work. So that, again, looks a little bit like it's too good to be true, but trust me, we have already done it. There are a lot of customers already using these tools, gaining several different insights in several industries, but also in your core business, the chemicals industry. So is it real imagination or reimagination, or is it just a train you might be able to jump off? Let's see, take some takeaways that might be a little bit more structured to your steering goals. It is a server-side-based system we have here. We are tending and prescribing an open and agnostic architecture, enabling paperless production and supporting future-driven open standards to get plug and produce. This will help you in flexible adjustments like changing machines. That will help you to track and trace and therefore efficiently use your material, change your production order according to the available material. That also has an impact on the resources you're going to use. That means also that directly known quality information to improve whatever you do. Good example, paints and coatings. Less cycles of bringing the color matching into the perfect version. So that all has to comply in today's data and in today's structure with a lot of data security, the known models, and offshore further standards. So my question is to you, what is next for you? And if you have already known where we really are and what technology can do, and as AI is everywhere in your day, when you will also allow it to enter your factory, because this could also be a way into future. So with that said, I just want to let you know, I don't want you to miss innovation. Be ready for open and agnostic solutions and gain a positive impact to secure your market leadership. That's why I invite you to contact your local Schneider Electric representatives, as well as us contacting via LinkedIn and other forums. And thank a lot to Pravin to give us the chance to give you a first teaser and provide hopefully further information afterwards.
Thanks, Verena Mersmann, for your presentation. And what I could gather from the presentation is you have defined Reimagine as 6R, which is reconfigurability, reduce complexity, regulatory and sustainability, reliability, resilience, and resources. On the other hand, I used to know only software-defined radio. What now you have done it as software-defined automation, which is SDR. And that's what the future is all about. And this SDR is an ecosystem, best-in-class equipment, and digital manufacturing. So this is our from the presentation side. Before we call in our guest for the panel discussion, let me run the IC and Play and Win contest based on Verena's presentation. So I would request everybody to please type in your answers in the chat window, and the first one to give the correct answer will be the winner. So the first question on the chat on the screen: what are the 3 pillars for our true digital transformation? A, an ecosystem, best-in-class equipment, digital manufacturing. B, cloud storage, social media integration, mobile app development. C, employee satisfaction, office automation, customer loyalty. And D, data privacy, compliance, IT help desk efficiency, and website redesign. The next question on the screen: what are the key benefits of an agnostic process orchestration layer? Centralized HR data integration, automated onboarding processes, employee sentiment tracking, real-time KPI dashboards, predictive maintenance scheduling, and automated procurement workflows, modularity, scalability, efficiency. And D is single vendor lock-in, rigid batch sequencing, manual recipe versioning. The third question on the screen is: on which layers do we see strong benefits of AI in the future? A, cloud storage, customer relationship management, mobile device management. B, apps, analytics and services, edge control and connected products. C, human resources, corporate finance and legal compliance. And D, email automation, social media monitoring, and virtual meeting platforms. So thank you all delegates for participating in the quiz contest. Without wasting any time, let me start the panel discussion. And the topic for today's panel discussion is reimagining chemical manufacturing, a digital, sustainable, and scalable future. So we have with us Mr. Rupark Sarswat from India Glycols, who has joined from Noida. Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta from Aarti Industries, who has joined from Vadodara, Gujarat. Mr. Jagdish Pranami from Dahej, from SRF from Dahej, Gujarat. Mr. Frederic Vanhove from ProLeiT by Schneider Electric and from Germany, and I am joining from New Delhi. So let me start. We have around 8 questions that we have thought of. So let me start with Rupark ji. And the first question, sir. Chemical manufacturers have been facing increasing pressure to enhance efficiency, ensure sustainability, and remain competitive. How do you balance these parameters with respect to industrial automation, process control technologies, and manufacturing execution system, which is called MES? So over to Rupark ji.
So good afternoon, everybody. Pravin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
So first of all, I was trying to imagine and also get anxious as to how I will speak amidst these experts on the topic. And to make me more anxious, you also announced a quiz contest. But it was some relief for me because I thought I was not required to participate. So I thought, let me reimagine and play the role of a filler, because I can see that the people who are here are far more knowledgeable and have expertise in this particular area. And in my reimagination, the role of a filler is that of rice. So you have lots of curries and juices, but rice helps you enjoy it. And to make things more complex, but I also learned a new word, for example, from Verena's presentation, and I'll try and understand it later, which is agnostic process orchestrational system. I will try and, this is very interesting, and employee sentiment tracking and things like that. So coming to, I will kind of do it a little more broad, and I think there are many people who will add to the detail of the technical topic. So the question that you asked me was, how do we balance efficiency, sustainability, and competitive advantage with automation, process control, and manufacturing systems? So what I first thought is, where is the contradiction? Is there a contradiction? Ki virodhabhas kahan hai? See, we see balance when we have a trade-off and a contradiction. So for example, if I am, that is, I'm particularly talking, having been a part of the Indian industry, having worked in various kinds of companies, and the challenges that we face, and one of it is how we think about things. So it is like saying that I want to make money immediately, I want success, but I also need to balance, because now you are putting pressure on me to invest in the education of my child and the health of my child. That's the kind of contradiction that we are talking about. There is no doubt you mentioned the word sustainability, and I think it is critical to understand that from the perspective of technology, and also from the perspective of why and where will it take us and why it is essential. We all know that it is no more a fashionable statement. If at all it is, it will be the last fashion. It is a matter of survival. And it is also a great opportunity. I have quoted these examples many times. China in the last 40, 50 years have lost 50% of their rivers. One study indicated that people in cities like Delhi are losing on an average 12 years of their life. How more expensive can it get? And we have talked about global warming, which is extreme. We have talked about the Cancer Express in Punjab. All of you know about it. Earth has a history of about 4.5 billion years. And Homo sapiens have been around for 3 lakh years. And all the dance and drama that humanity has done, which has created these opportunities and challenges for us, which we are discussing, is not more than 100 years. So if I put it down to one day, life of the Earth, 3 lakh years of Homo sapiens becomes 5.7 seconds. I did this calculation. And all that we have done, which we are very worried about, is in the last 0.002 seconds, which is 2 milliseconds. We all know that when we don't change, there used to be a textiles industry in the South. They didn't change based on the sustainability pressures. Technology could have provided solutions. Technology is like we are talking about today. And with one order of the code, something like 800 factories were eventually shut down. And I don't think more than half of them have started even today, more than 15 years since. Another question I like to ask when people think about whether we should invest in technology and how should we invest, when should we invest, is to try and answer this question again, whether businesses exist to make profit or whether businesses make profit to exist. And I will take this one step further, that it is not even that contradiction. You think about Singapore Airlines, it is supposed to be some people who invest a lot in technology, a lot in sustainability. And what do they achieve? They achieve high efficiency, high competitive advantage, and they do well on the sustainability front as well. So there is no contradiction. Had investing in technology and sustainability been a challenge to competitive advantage and profitability, we would not have had examples like Singapore Airlines. Similarly, you would see companies like Reliance, a very respected, admired company in India, investing hugely in technology and investing hugely in sustainability, because that will take them to efficiency, competitive advantage, and sustainability. So in my view, there is no contradiction. Without saying too much, there is so much change that is happening on sustainability. I gave you some examples. But more importantly, on the technology front. On one hand, we have nearly impossible challenges. And on the other hand, we have fascinating advancements in technology, which will hopefully help us address the impossible challenges. So there are many areas in technology. I think AI and digital technologies are at the forefront. I'm sure more people will talk about it. It is mind-blowing to see that a processor was designed recently which took a few seconds or a couple of minutes to solve a problem. But however, that same problem, the latest supercomputer would have taken 10 septillion years, which is many billion times the life of the planet. Imagine how fast technology is unfolding and how fast these capabilities are coming through. From a process control perspective, huge amount of ability to analyze data, not only data which comes from our plants, but data which comes from environment, data which comes from human beings, and so on and so forth. I'll touch upon this a little bit more. And similarly, at one point in time, trying to say balance, should we or should we not? I'm sure 25 years ago, 30 years ago, the same debate happened about whether we should spend in investing in computers in our organization. I'm sure that debate happened. Some of us sitting here would have known that. We've all had some bosses. Computers were introduced in their room before we got, but they retired, they never touched it. I used to go behind his seat and use it anyway. Similarly, for Excel sheets, an example of Excel sheet was taken. Then we had this question about whether it is worth investing in ERPs. But all of them consistently proved that they helped us move forward in efficiency, in competitive advantage, and so on. It may seem painful from the point of view of industry that how do we do this trade-off, whether this is a trade-off. There is a saying with respect to people who prepare for the future, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. And competition in some ways is like that. So we are going to have that pain, no doubt, but try not doing it. We will have something more drastic. And I also feel, as wars have shown, a recent between Pakistan that we had in India, there is one in Iran, that victories and defeats will be fast, decisive, and total, and technology-led. And the same thing, mind you, applies to our businesses and what we do. Very, very similar, except that the objectives are different. At some point in time, I'm sure the same question was asked, but somebody tried something different, and Ford decided to have assembly lines. It made them more efficient, it made them more competitive, and it helped the world become better. Another stage came when they were defeated and Japan decided to invest in technology and automation. It didn't take the costs up. It improved efficiencies, it improved competitive advantage, and they are also doing a lot in terms of sustainability and how to take the society forward. There is another example of a company called Nokia. Now, the technologies of Nokia may still be around. I think it was the early, around 2010, Nokia was still counted as amongst the topmost 10 innovative companies in the world. And by 2014, there was no Nokia product in the Indian market. That's how technology is replacing, so we have no choice. Quite often people think that, are we not doing this because we don't have enough resources? Are we not doing this because we have enough time? Now, if you look at many examples, and I love to give the example of the Indian cricket team, of people who make it to the Indian cricket team, you would imagine to make it to the Indian cricket team, you will need good kit, you will need good coach, you will need good grounds. But none of the people who make it to the Indian cricket team actually have access to them. And all of the people who have access to all of them, including sons of Sachin Tendulkar and sons of Sunil Gavaskar, never made it there. So I don't think there is any need for the smaller industry or MSMEs to feel that it is an inherent advantage granted to some big players and we can't do. In fact, I see this as an opportunity to leapfrog. As many technologies like UPI, like internet, have proven that it is an advantage, it is an opportunity for India. But more importantly, it is an opportunity for people who have not invested in what might be a historical burden or baggage. Now there comes to, there is a question of the what do we do? How do we balance it? Now, I obviously did not talk about many technologies. There are many technologies which are coming up. It is very fascinating. There is already a factory running in Japan producing 50 robots a day. It completely unmanned. So nobody goes inside the factory for months, and the footprint of the factory is lower by 50%. the costs of energy. You don't need air conditioning. You don't need that kind of lighting. You don't need canteens. You can run 24/7. Every robot comes back when he has a problem, gets repaired, he or she, or it, if you like, goes back. This is happening right now. The other thing that we imagine in the chemical industry and others, particularly in India, that this is not relevant to us. You know, how many things around us have changed where we thought this was not relevant to us? You know, the black and yellow taxis never thought that suddenly the mobile phone and internet will take their business away. And so many other things. So mindset, I think, is the most important factor. If you see a contradiction, you'll continue to see a contradiction. If you see the opportunity and the compulsion, you'll work on it and convert it into an advantage. And my request or my kind of suggestion with my experience is that this is the opportunity for the Indian companies, particularly the smaller ones, to leapfrog, to create opportunities out of it. See, change is not going to stop. We may like to avoid the pain or like status quo, but this change is not going to stop. You know, maybe when we come to the next question, we can talk about how it is changing the landscape. I just gave you an example of Fanuc. And I think the phenomenal capability and empowerment because of things like augmented reality, it is happening here and now. The phenomenal advancements in sensor technologies, the phenomenal growth that is happening because of automation of laboratory testing, for example. So thousands of tests which would take hundreds of days could be completed in a matter of few days. Research which would take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years is getting completed in a matter of weeks, and this will only get faster. We will soon be using drones throughout our plant. I think automated warehousing, for example, we can talk about them in more detail. So I will leave this initial comments. As I said, I'm playing a filler, Pravin. You've got so many experts. So we don't have the time. People say we don't have the resources. When do we do it? So, you know, there is one gentleman who was very busy. He went to a saint. The saint said, you must take out 30 minutes to meditate. After 1 week, he came back again. He said, I don't have that much time to meditate. You know, you've given me 30 minutes. I could not do it. So the saint said, I have a suggestion for you. He said, tell me. He said, actually, you need 1 hour. So you need more of it. You know, another joke which I like to tell people is there was a villager who was running around with his cycle trying to get into another village. So another gentleman saw him and he asked him, what are you doing? He says, can't you see I'm in a hurry? I have to reach the other village. But he said, you have a cycle. Why don't you climb on top of it? And that'll make, that'll make you reach faster. He said, you know what he said? He says, who has the time to get on top of the cycle? So my point is that we all have to take out the time to get on top of the cycle. It will be painful. We all take out money for our future. We all take out time to invest in our children to have their future. So it is something that we are doing all the time. But within the organization, somehow when it comes to it, there is a reluctance. And I spoke so much about this because I think more than anything else, it is a mindset. It is the belief, 2 beliefs. Change is not going to stop. Sustainability is a real challenge. There is nothing that will make it any less faster. It will only get faster. Technology is evolving at a rapid pace. Transformations will be rapid. Defeats, victories will be rapid. So it is important for us that we get on top of the cycle and win the race. And technologies are here from a plant or a manufacturing perspective, and it's all getting integrated. It's not only plants anymore. In fact, not only are technologies getting integrated, I think biology, chemistry, physics, psychology, all are getting integrated. It's so phenomenal as to what is going to happen. So
I will come back to you. You have put what is straightforward answer that technology is inevitable and everybody has to ride on it if you want to go from one phase to the other phase. Thank you, sir. Let me bring in Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta from Aarti Industries and Jagdish Pranami ji from SRF. And this question is addressed to both of them. First to Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta ji. Challenges faced during batch control processes, and what does an efficient batch process mean to your company? Can you mention some of the initiatives that you are practicing in making the batch process more efficient? So over to Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta ji.
Thanks, Pravin, and very inspirational examples given by Rupark. I think we need to connect it and get some more insights. Wonderful. So coming on to the batch process, let me share, one of the most complex thing in the chemical industries. as far as the specialty chemical industries, you don't have an escape through the batch processes. Though we may not like the batch processes, but some or the other reason, it becomes part and parcel of the specialty chemicals. Now, the batch process, one of the fundamental sharing which I would like to share with this particular forum is, it's, something like a new plant startup every time. You start a new batch, it's a new plant startup. Depending on the BCT, 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. So every 20 hours, 30 hours, you are starting a new plant. So what are the nuances in a batch process, which, we need to understand, and what we at Aarti, we have done is understanding the reaction kinetics for the batch processes, how the reaction kinetics, it works. Try it out there at the lab scale, try it out there at the engineering lab with the variability of the critical parameters on temperatures, pressures, mole ratio, agitation, whatnot, and whatsoever it is needed. And the whole effort should be, how do we change the batch process from a batch to semi-batch, or to a semi-continuous, or to a continuous one? Because fundamentally, the batch process is not an inherently safer design, neither it's a inherently efficient design. When I say inherently safer, due to the adiabatic heat of reaction which produces there in the batch process compared to the continuous processes, this is generally high. The continuous process is a much more smoother process, much more controlled process, much more, the potential for the peak temperatures are low. We have done it in several cases where we have made it from batch to semi-batch or semi-continuous. In helix chemistry, in diazotization, we have gone it from batch to the continuous one, with the improvement in the conversion, with the improvement in the yields to the order of 10-15%, improvement in, the volumes, and reduction in the OPEX to a significant level. Because it's a box up, it's a pressure cooker, technology. And if your reaction kinetics doesn't permit to shift it to the semi-continuous or semi-batch, then the only way is, how do you eliminate the variability with respect to the raw materials, quantities, qualities, have those fixed, SOPs, train the people, retrain the people, and have the best of the control systems. So that would be in order to make it more and more efficient. But the fundamental thumb rule for each and every of the producer should be, how do you shift from batch to semi-batch, semi-continuous, or to a continuous one? That is there, Pravin, which wanted to share with you.
Thank you, Ajay ji. Now I would request Jagdish Pranami sir, if you can add.
Yeah. So basically, batch is a fundamental process where come to the continuous. The trial has to be taken from batch and semi to final automatic. But most of the specialty chemical are still running and going to be run on the batch. So batch have the challenge for the inefficient batching. Then there is some manual operation, material loss, and the labor, and then experienced people shortage. How to help by the automation? So if we study the batch cycle, then we can understand whether my batch are good batches or bad batches. There are two types of the batches. One is the time constant, and second is the quality constants. So one is time constant. We can more automate. Then we study the whereby more failure is there. So when we have to increase the BCT, we have to reduce the downtimes. Downtime we can get from the two sides. One, there is a manual listing of the all downtime, and there is some automatic method to get the insight of the downtime. So now the digitize will help to understand which are my real downtime and which are my downtime, I can do some predictive and preventive and make them OE much higher than what is expected in the systems. Second is the labor and experience shortage that can be helped with the basically e-learning and the AR module. We train the people, and this training can be so help to the production, because of when people, these are all our reaction, all chemical plant operations are very critical in nature. We cannot depend on the more on the people. So how we transport their more automatic and more sustainable with the help of the train the people and utilize their experience in the that programming. Third is the analysis of the batch, where we can understand the how I can understand which are my parameter are disturbing my batch, or which are my golden parameter to upkeep the batch. So that various way that help the more safe and more basically improved and more efficient operation in the batch.
Thank you, Jagdish ji. I come to the third question, which is to Rupark ji. And the first part, he has already answered, how can digitization help in improving manufacturing efficiency of the plant in his the first question answer that he was giving. The second part of it is with respect to quantifying efficiency improvement in manufacturing. Over to Rupark ji. I would request, sir, if you can be short and precise. 3 minutes of yours, sir.
Okay. So last time you didn't warn me. This time I will try and comply. Thank you. So there are few areas where I think which are very straightforward, which people can or companies can start to invest in pretty much quickly without too much more expenditure. Know that, for example, sometimes this feels to people that, this will be some big damn thing. You're suddenly talking about AI. I'm already 55. I've had people say things like this to me. So the power of the device that we hold in our hand, even 1/100th of that we don't utilize, which is the mobile phone. The amount of AI that is using. So that's the capability which is available to everybody. One thing is augmenting advanced process control. Now, when I say augmenting advanced process control, it may mean many things, but let me give a very simple, concrete suggestion. We all have at some point in time talked about Six Sigma and statistical process control. Somebody will become a green belt, brown belt, black belt, and that person will be given a job and he will analyze some data points, plot some graphs and come up with some recommendation. That will be a 1-year project for him to improve one parameter. That can be force multiplied by 1,000,000 times. For example, with the necessary coaching of how to use software and capability, look at millions of data points, if not millions, hundreds of data points, and start institutionalizing statistical process control, which will become almost live. And the capability today of people, there are people who will assist you, is that it can become a self-learning model. It's not extremely expensive. That is something that people should start investing in. I also feel that we have all heard about predictive and preventive maintenance. The concept stays the same. But if we start looking at the parameters, I think it is again the capability of new systems to analyze hundreds and thousands, possibly millions of data points, which can come through machines, for example, which can come through sensors, and we have sensor technologies which are evolving much faster, which can come from the quality control lab, which can come from videos. So videos would be picking up through infrared, where temperatures are going up, who's doing what, etc. This can all be combined in ways which were not done before, which can come from analysis of audios. It can sharply help reducing breakdowns, bring maintenance costs, and improve inventory management. Again, this is a suggestion which does not need millions of dollars. It just needs intent. You don't even need to send your people for a 2-year Six Sigma black belt program, because capabilities are there. We need to just figure out how to do. I think automating warehouses is a very good example. It can be done in many, many ways. So, what people are doing in automated warehouses right now here in India, the pharma company is doing, many more companies in the West are doing. I'm sure Schneider can tell us much more. So you combine vision systems, AI and robotics. All of them are no more very expensive words which we need not be, which we need not fear. Whereby our warehouses start to operate 24/7. Our errors come by 10 times or 100 times. Our labor costs come down by 70%. And our order fulfillment is rapidly improved. New technologies are very easily available. Park assist or driving assist, for example, is available in the lowest level cars in India. So there is no reason why manufacturing cannot use it. Automated guided vehicle, autonomous robots. So you have SLAM, for example, simultaneously location mapping. So vertical storage, retrieval, which leads to 50 to 80% reduction in internal time in terms of movement of products, zero accident, and rapid improvement in fulfillment of orders, etc. These are also things which can be done. One of the reason I'm mentioning this is because it becomes difficult for somebody to imagine when somebody says, now let's take a step change of bringing out AI transformation in the organization. At that moment, people like me start to feel nervous. Then very simple things like capability of cameras, capability of audio, start to look at what drones can do. Thermal leak detection, for example. Your imaging can tell you where your insulation is bad, where your reactions may be, starting to go bad, where your tubes may starting to get ruptured. You will save crores and crores of rupees, again, without spending millions of dollars and without having a mega project where, with all due respect, McKinsey and AT Kearney take a few $1 million to implement it. This can be done. You can become yourselves. Hazardous area monitoring is another area. Immediate control. It has been seen that just the cost of scaffolding and doing the whole exercise of getting up to stacks, etc., can come down from 50 to 90%. And the most beautiful thing which will change everything, and this is the last one, Pravin, even if I've crossed the time, I will apologize later on, is augmented reality, for example. And I wanted to tell people of the capability of augmented reality. Your children have already started to look at those things you may not realize. So, for example, if my car breaks down on a highway and I don't know what to do, so I have these glasses which I put on. It tells me, I don't even know how to open the bonnet. Within that glasses, it tells me what to press, how to open the bonnet to start with. Then it scans my engine to see where probably problems would be. It gives me a set of do's and don'ts to make sure I don't do something stupid and hurt myself. It tells me that through that scan that this temperature is low, this temperature is high, check your coolant. And it tells me that, there's a 3D holographic image which tells me this is how you push this button up and you fill in the coolant and so on. I'm giving you a simple example. So basically all the power that is there behind technology becomes available to you. Not only that, you may be able to access somebody like a call center. There will be people who will help you to say that I'm unable to figure it out. Then your augmented reality is augmented by an expert which is hundreds and thousands of miles away. Imagine the power of this getting unleashed. Of course, I've spoken about R&D and the capability of what all can be done there. What I thought I would do is put it in rather simple terms in not, obviously there are complex backend systems which are working to deliver it. But what all transformational things can happen in existing plants without necessarily making it too difficult to understand and without making it too complex, without making it too expensive, but making the beginning which starts to deliver significant benefits. So that's what I have to say on this one.
Thank you, sir. I move to Ajay ji, and I'm clubbing 4 and 5 together. One is on how the chemical industry has a good number of MSMEs and standalone players. How do you see the ROI for implementing digitization in these companies? And the second part was with respect to how can paperless production help in increased efficiency and sustainability with the use of digital production protocols. So over to Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta.
Yeah, Pravin, I think you said about digitization, and I would further expand it to digitalization, because it has been spoken again and again, and I think all the audience there on the panel as well as on the webinar, they know it like there is no alternate. The cost economic solutions are available as far as digitization is concerned, analog to the digital platform. at a throwaway price, those are available. Getting on to the digitalization means a broader use of the digital technology available in order to run your business transformation processes. I would say whether it's an SMME or it is any startup company, they would have to get into this. As far as an ROI is concerned, see, for example, like SAP systems, the ERP solutions, what they can do is they can customize it and go step by step. You need not go for, full blast for all the modules in a go. Go for, depending on the nature of the industry, can go for material management, can go for quality management, can go for maintenance, plant maintenance management. And don't get too much into the ROI part. I can share an example, like 20 years back, while I was the technology head, I remember we were going for the DCS for one of the plant, and the whole of the question was, what is an ROI coming on an investment of 5 crores of investment? That is 20 years back. And we couldn't, work out an ROI for getting into a DCS of a plant. And let me share with the, the teams available. Post implementation, it was so easy for us to work out the ROI, which was coming just in 18 months' time. So sometimes it becomes difficult to work on an ROI, getting onto a digital platform or a digitalization of the plant processes. 1 ton of any steam saving out of 20 tons per hour would save, 2 CR or more than 2 CR per year. So this is about the SMME. One of the, again, insight I can share for MSME is don't go for the tier 1 companies. Go for the tier 2 companies in the beginning. And then subsequently you can work upon the cost economic solutions as you move ahead and realize the benefit out of the whole digitization and digitalization. Coming on to the paperless, thing, what you say, I can share, like in Aarti Industries, we are releasing this sustainability report for last 4 or 5 years. And many of the companies they are releasing. We are releasing, I'll give the few use case. This is one of the use case. Releasing based on 120 GRI indicators, 30 odd manufacturing facilities, 5 locations, a company of the size of 8,000, 9,000 crores of revenue. It is just compiled by a set of handful number of people, 3-4 people, that's it. It's only possible because of the technology. Otherwise, you can't get into whole of the GHG emission data, the water data, the energy data there on the spreadsheets. One of the other use case I can give is like we have a complete management system there in the company, like we call it as an Aarti management system. 30 odd guidelines, processes which are available in each and every function, right from HR to the manufacturing. So it is one way of working. It is not an individual way of working, one simple way of working, that is the Aarti way of working. We have also adopted, like digital nucleus at Aarti, one of a platform where integration of all the technology innovations, they are getting integrated with each other. One of a use case, again, I can share, like we have a Google platform. It is a paperless. You have a Google Word file or you have a Google spreadsheet. N number of people, they can work at a time. It's not, limited to I work it, then I give it to Pravin, he gives it to Rupark. Like 10 people, they can work simultaneously. So it improves the, energy, the whole, bring down the energy of the people, improves the efficiency to a, unmatched level, and enables us in several ways. The best of the sustainability reporting company and best of the, digital analytics usage there in the company. So there are several use cases on for the MSME as well as for the paperless working, Pravin.
Thank you, sir. I come to Frederic Vanhove. The first part was with respect to paperless production. How does it increase efficiency and sustainability with the use of digital production protocols? And then the second is about how do you think ProLeiT Schneider solution brings differentiation in managing batch processes? Over to Mr. Vanhove.
Thank you, Mr. Prashan. So I think we've in this panel and with my esteemed colleagues here on this panel, we've already mentioned a number of key topics and keywords in the chemicals industry. So we mentioned flexibility, we mentioned productivity and efficiency, sometimes inefficiencies and the need for more safety, and all of that actually can be enabled and empowered through digitalization for sure. I heard the word technology a number of times. Of course, technology plays a key part in that. I've also heard people. So people in terms of the digitalization journey are extremely important. They need to be part of the journey. The technology is kind of the enabler, but the people are really at the core of that digitalization process. And that is the last word, is the processes. How do we make sure that these existing processes can be enhanced through that digitalization journey? So I think these are the three pillars: the people, the technology, and the processes. And the paperless production is actually just an example of how digitalization can support the efficiency, the safety, and the productivity on site. So Mr. Gupta was just mentioning that example. It's a great example of the compliance reporting and how the technology is actually supporting this paperless reporting and helping be more efficient with that process. So this is one of the key benefits, of course, of digitalization, is that efficiency gain, to be able to save time in terms of executing the same processes, but also gain on production, right? So save on downtime, gain on production. So all that digitalization is helping bring more insights, more intelligence to the people, supporting the people again to be able to bring that efficiency and that productivity goal. So when we talk about paperless productivity specifically, so you've got on top of the efficiency, of course, sustainability benefits. So paperless, carbon footprint, that's an easy link. You definitely have the reduction of unplanned downtime because you have that real-time access to data that gives you that faster reaction and faster action to what is happening in the plant, in your batch. In terms of sustainability, if you have ESG goals, whether they are on scope 1, 2, or 3, that digitalization also helps, because then you have a measurable impact on the resource efficiency. That digitalization, that paperless production is helping you optimize your resource usage and therefore contribute to your scope 1 goals in that instance. The compliance and the audit readiness, everything is available in a digital tool. You're not missing any data. That data is available, processed, and prepared for the usage that you need. So that paperless production is helping a lot of the manual entry, the human mistakes, but also helping you actually have a holistic view on your data. So this is where, coming to your second question, Mr. Prashan, it's where our solutions that Verena presented earlier come to help, right? Because they have that integration. I think this is the key word: integration and data management embedded into the offer and into the batch processes. So from the data acquisition, Mr. Sarswat here, G, was talking about diagnostic vision of our solution. Basically means that we can connect to any machine, regardless of which controller or which technology. We use these standard industry protocols that allow us to, through our batch orchestration layer, allow us to connect these devices, gather the data, but also control them at the batch level to bring this consistency and this data acquisition to the benefit of the people. So that MES layer that comes on top actually feeds from all these machines and all these data to actually consolidate that data into intelligence, into reporting, into analytics, obviously the usage of AI, depending on the level of maturity on the site. And when you need to make an action and a decision, our solution is helping the people implement these solutions and these decisions in a faster way, because you don't need to program, you just need to change the parameters. So you don't need to stop the plant, effectively. You reduce the downtime, you're able to save on production. You're able to use parameters. You're able to have effectively what we are talking about, a maintenance effort, very reduced. So the total cost of ownership from an industry perspective is significantly reduced. You have an operational impact. So standardization, scalability, real-time diagnostics, data management from the field to the C-level suite, and potentially, in case of multi-site, you can have harmonization and benchmarking between different sites. So there's a lot of power that digitalization brings at the site level, but also at the enterprise level.
So thank you, Frederic. Now we are left with two questions, and there are three speakers in both of them, or three speakers each in both of them. So I request you to restrict your answers to as short as possible. And because we also need to take few questions from the audience, I see a multiple of them. I request audience to please type in their questions. So after the panel discussion, we will take it up as and when they come up on the screen. So the seventh question is on real-time visibility, which helps in providing full transparency with integrated process visualization and continuous recipe and materials management, ensuring consistent quality and traceability. So the question is, are you opting for real-time visibility? And this question is to Ajay ji and Jagdish Pranami ji. To start with Jagdish Pranami and then to Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta.
So yes, Pravin ji, I will cover both questions 7 and 8. So
eight later, only 7 right now.
So real-time monitoring will help basically to understand which are my process parameter are under control or over the control. So real time, there is two part. One is we are getting the data from the plant, from the sensors, and another data we can creating by the paper to glass, what we understand in this earlier concept. So this whole data can be together give the very much insight, because of if you take the one example, in reactor we are charging some material. That material may be charged by the some manual methodology. So then when come in manual method, we don't have the track of the data when they had charged 100 kg, 200, 300 kg. So when manual data and my DCS parameter merge together, we have the good visibility of the my complete process, how it added into the system and how performance of my plant parameters. So when we merge together, we'll give the good control and the safe control in the systems.
Ajay ji, sir, your answer to the real-time visibility.
Yeah, Prashant, real-time visibility, I tell you, like we as a company, we have heavily invested on digitalization and whole of the technology adoption. I tell you, I can give you few use cases, what we are doing. One is, a very simple one on CCTV, which, everybody knows about it. Typically on any of the manufacturing location, I would say it is running in few hundreds, sometimes close to even, 800, 900 of the CCTV cameras. Like the sites are pretty big in size of hundreds of acres. How they are utilized is, one is the security surveillance, which typically is done and it's utilized. Second is for the safety deviations and the sabotage as well. Third is for the early detection of, any of an untoward incident in the factories. And fourth is for the emergency handling. They are from the central ECC rooms. I tell you, there was a hydrogen trawler incident on a highway, which we provided, valuable contribution sitting there in the conference room, having this particular technology. The second use case is all our plants, they are, DCS configured, DCS operated. Something like Aspen or IP21 SCADA, which typically used to be 5-10 years back, and the technology, a pretty expensive one. Now it is available at a very cost economic value. So all our plants, we have a complete monitoring sitting here in my office in Vadodara. I can look into each and every parameter of each and every equipment on my laptop. And the whole effort is like how it is helping. It's helping immensely in terms of the failure analysis. It is helping immensely in terms of the breakdown analysis, whether it's a safety breakdown or it's a reliability breakdown. Immensely in terms of the quality monitoring and, traceability for any of the deviations. And last, the most important is the process optimization. It is a journey, the fourth one which I said, because data availability isn't adequate enough unless and until we train our people. And the whole effort is the ITNs what we have a large number of ITNs that are in the company. They should be utilized, the whole of the intellectual mind that should be utilized in analytics instead of collation of the information. That is the use case number 2. The third is, I can share with you, like we have few hundreds of our tankers and truckers moving hazardous chemical on the roads. We have a real-time monitoring of those, all the tankers and truckers through one of an agency. We have got a tie-up for, a long-term engagement where their speed is monitored through the GPS, where their route tracking is monitored, where their end and entry, exit, everything is monitored in order to avoid any environmental deviations with respect to the hazardous waste, as well as the safety deviations which are occurring. So there are in plenty of the use cases. I thought of sharing these 3 with this audience, which would provide some, essence to them. Thank you, Pravin.
Thank you, sir. Now we come to the last, which is the 8th question. And this would be addressed to Rupark ji, Jagdish ji, and Frederic Vanhove. How do you look at process automation and digitalization solutions for the chemical industry with a special focus on open automation? And I would request short answers because we have already reached, we are just 7 minutes away from the deadline. And I would request if we can extend it to by 10 to 15 minutes so that we can take up the Q&A part of it. So over to Rupark ji with respect to open automation approach, sir.
So I've already taken much more time, but I'll try and keep it short in respect to others as well. I'll briefly talk about open automation. It's very interesting that more and more resources are becoming cloud. Not only are softwares becoming cloud, I see that the future being of human employment is also going to be cloud. Nobody is going to work for one particular entity. I think skills will take you anywhere and everywhere. I think good example is the recent standardization of the Type-C USB switch, which has made it so much more convenient for us to charge irrespective of the phone, which means there is resource conservation because you need not buy chargers again and again. You need not buy multiple chargers. So therefore it is sustainable. And you need not throw many equipment just because one part has changed. So it is cost-effective, user-friendly. And more importantly, as we move towards a circular economy, it is very, very important that we have this kind of open architecture in many ways, including automation. It does provide a significant amount of flexibility. And I think it will only accelerate adoption of new technologies. So you will not necessarily be stuck with one kind of baggage, and you will be able to make use of any innovations that happen very much rapidly in a completely different way. Amazon, for example, provided a platform for all kinds of value propositions, and the unique supply chain advantages of individual companies did not remain a restriction for many others. If you've got an innovative product, you can go and throw it and let the world benefit from the innovation without necessarily having the billions to set the platform in place. I think that's an analogy which honestly, let me confess, I do not understand this in great detail, but I think that's what will happen as far as the automation space is concerned, and as far as implementation or innovation is concerned. It will, however, currency, for example, is another example as it starts to flow across platforms. Not only across platforms, I think then there will be a convergence of digital currencies as well as physical currencies and so on. But it may have its own challenges. The challenges which experts can comment upon. And I think one of them is, for example, common cause failure. So we are all dependent on one kind of infrastructure, which happens with, for example, genetically modified crops. If your diversity in crops goes away and you have a problem with one kind of gene pool, your risks are much larger. In some way, it can hinder change, because when you've got so much to change, the small innovation which begins somewhere and finds its own pilot is going to get more and more difficult. But that's the way forward, I think, in multiple ways. As the world becomes more and more connected, I think it will be particularly beneficial for smaller innovators to find a place in the world and get their powerful ideas to be accepted and deliver value. So those are one big set of beneficiaries. The other big set of beneficiaries are smaller players who can easily benefit without having to invest in, big platforms. So those are things that I think are where open automation or in this area will take us forward.
Jagdish ji, your comment on open automation. You're running so many at SRF, the H.
So open automation with there are two type of one is the fixed system for operate, and it need the OEM based system where the sensor to control to final control. We need some unit based connection. Where we have open protocol, we can have some wireless technology. We can install the sensor at anywhere, but it can capture to any of the system. That is a classical example of open technology. Now come to the basically digitization in the industry. Basically, there are I will give only 3 examples which will understand more better. The life cycle comes in project, operation, and maintenance as a plant. In projects, we have the various phases. If you digitize, we can at least get at least 10% advantage on the digitization. Where we run our plants, we have 500 workers, 1,000 workers working in 4 to 5 projects to monitor their safety. Today is a video analysis classical example where it gives the deviation alarms to the central level or the respected position. How many people are working with the safety and without safety, then more safety can be improved. In operation, we have so many parameters which run our plant, but which parameter defect the plant, we can create the pre-alerts with the use of the digitization, the IoT technology. This is the classical example where you use the digitization. Third, in the maintenance, we have many rotary equipment and the running equipments. Any stationary or running equipment, they have their parameter. By use of ML and AI, we can create the pre-alerts, and the maintenance approach can be the more perspective rather than reactive. That can help the digitizing the chemical industries. So thank you, Pravin.
Thank you, Jagdish ji. And last comment from Frederic, and then we take up a question and answer from the audience.
Sure, thank you. So there are real pain points in the chemical industry at this stage, right? So volatile market, the price, the cost of operating and maintenance, the rigidity of some of the assets, and that's where open automation for me helps a lot, right? Because that brings, if I just have to highlight one specific value point, is the IT-OT convergence, right? This becomes the bridge between what used to be very separated worlds, IT and OT, and really allows you for that flexibility on both levels. So it was mentioned that cloud topic earlier. That's more in terms of the flexibility on the data and on the software and analytics side of things. So that IT-OT convergence enabled through open automation allows you to have that cloud or that analytics layer however you want it. On the OT side, that open automation allows that flexibility and that vendor agnosticity that you need, right? So you have open standards, you have devices that are compatible with these open standards that gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of operations, in terms of maintenance, to be able to replace devices, to change on the fly some of the configuration without having to impact the whole production process. So that open automation for me is a no-brainer, right? That gives you that flexibility, it gives you that scalability and that modularity that you need in the chemicals industry.
So let me thank all my panelists and speakers for giving you an insight on the manufacturing operations and also with a lot of case studies and examples that they talked about. I will take few questions. I've already written them. The first question is from Ansuman Duggal, and he's saying, how about storage of confidential data developed through the chemical technology? So this question is addressed to Frederic.
The storage of confidential data. So that comes to the cybersecurity policy of the company, and of course, any data that is generated needs to be very carefully handled from the CIA, the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability. That is a typical journey that needs to be taken as soon as you start a digitalization project. You don't have to start big. You don't have to have all the answers, but cybersecurity needs to always be at the core of everything you do, particularly when it comes to protection of data. All right, so you need to have the right infrastructure, the right setup and architecture to allow this security for sure.
And one more question to you, sir, Frederic, is how ProLeiT system can help in implementation of process safety management in a major hazardous process plant?
So here we are looking at probably beyond the ProLeiT offer, we're looking at the synergies of the entire Schneider portfolio, right? This is where we are looking at the dedicated safety products and solutions that are really helping from a hardware, obviously, and from a safety, from a software, from the management of the safety perspective, on managing the assets, being able to track your safety level and compliance through our wider solutions, including the very well-known brand Triconex.
Thank you, Frederic. One question to Jagdish ji is how wireless instruments are beneficial to chemical plant?
Wireless instrumentation, basically it help into the early installation into the plant. That is a fundamental advantage. In chemical plant, we can technology of the sensing will remain same, whether it's wired or non-wired, but wireless mainly help. So how your connection of cabling has been reduced, when train was reduced, your people to be safety is drastically increased, because you don't have to send to the people for the tray and cable all erection there, just to have a good connection, and then you can start the reading. So mainly it help in the safety and early plant startup.
Ajay, thank you, Jagdish ji. Ajay, sir, how can real-time CCTV and automation can improve the safety of hazardous chemical tankers and operators?
As I said, like, CCTV, they are used for several purposes. One is the proactive and other is the reactive. So proactive, you install it at strategic locations and you have a watch, everything going right. And as a reactive, if there are any early symptoms, early signs, then those can be used there as a reactive in order to, because in all of the emergency, the game is the response time. If you have that monitoring, the response time can be quick as fast as it is needed. That's it.
So, Rupark ji, sir, if you can take this, if anybody has implemented LIMS, LIMS, Manik ji is talking about anybody has implemented LIMS.
LIMS, as I understand, is
laboratory integrated management system, I think it is.
Laboratory integrated
management system. So, yeah, you take it forward if you have.
No, I am sure there are people here who will like to tell more about the implementation. I think it is not very different from integrating all your systems. I have in my earlier company implemented LIMS, but LIMS from the level of integration that was there earlier is going many more steps forward, not only to gather information in an ERP sense of way, but more in the sense of analytics, insights, and predicting future actions and linking it to many things that we didn't link it to in the plant, including manufacturing as it happens, etc. So I do not know what specifically the question was. The question was, have you implemented LIMS? The answer is, I have worked in an organization where we were implementing LIMS. In the current system, our infrastructure is very basic, but I have other colleagues who would like to add something here. May please go ahead.
Ajay sir, if you add on.
Yeah, like, LIMS is a very basic requirement for the quality management system, for the integrating it with the process, technology, troubleshooting, problem solving. So like I have implemented in my previous company, here also in the process of implementation of the same, but nevertheless, it has to be integrated. Like recently, what we did is SAP system, we have upgraded it from SAP to SAP S4 HANA. So The whole game is how do you integrate it with the other systems so that you get the right value in terms of the quality and the process optimization. So certainly I have implemented it and it has an immense value in terms of the process optimization.
Vinod Trivedi is asking, could you please explain process flow as shown in digital manufacturing in chemical manufacturing?
Exactly. So yeah, you have the process flows as in the diagrams and the visualization, but you also have the workflows, right, to support the people in the execution of the batch processing. Yes.
One question is with respect to humid environment and corrosive gases. How does the electronics system sustain its performance in the industrial area? Ajay sir and Jagdish ji, your reply on this.
Baba, you will have to have the AHU systems in place, and you need to have those pressurization so that nothing of toxic in nature, nothing of particle size in nature gets into it, and you have a AHU system in place in order to take care of those very sensitive components. Otherwise, whole of the digital work which we do, it would go haywire.
I'm now taking the last two questions. One is on any comment on the possible increase in production cost due to automation in API. Ajay,
this would be other way around. You know, like the cost of production, the OPEX would always go down. They won't go up. Once you implement, you know, any of the technological tools, the OPEX is bound to go down. Can't go up.
And one last question was, can all types of PLCs, DCS and other various control systems or different vendors can be integrated into ProLeiT system? Frederic.
Oh, the answer is a clear yes. That is exactly the point, right? We have an orchestration layer to be able to support all the existing assets, to be able to run the batch and orchestrate the batch at that level. So the answer is a clear yes, of course.
And one more question is, how can industrial automation system ensure seamless compatibility between field devices, cloud analytics, and legacy infrastructure to enable real-time data-driven decisions? Frederic.
Yeah, so that is effectively the concept of digitalization and particularly the open automation. So open automation, as we discussed in the prior session, is really that IT-OT convergence that the question is about. That real-time capturing, processing, and then presentation of the data to the right people at the right time. Exactly what open automation is about.
So let me thank all my speakers, Mr. Rupark Sarswat, Chief Executive Officer, India Glycols Limited, Mr. Ajay Kumar Gupta, Executive Director and Chief Manufacturing Officer, Aarti Industries Limited, Mr. Jagdish Pranami, Associate Vice President, SRF Limited, Ms. Verena Mersmann, Branch Leader, Chemical Life Science Business, ProLeiT by Schneider Electric, Mr. Frederic Vanhove, Head of Global Sales, Industrial Automation, ProLeiT by Schneider Electric, for being present and answering all your queries in a free flow manner. Let me also announce the winners for today's ICN Play and Win contest. The winners are, for the first question, the winner is Mr. Piyush Maru, Project Excellence. And I think, Ajay sir, you would be very happy. He's from Aarti Industries.
Oh, very nice. Congratulations, Piyush.
Project Excellence, Aarti Industries. Thank you, Piyush. The second question winner is Mr. Anshuman Duggal, Sales Head, Business Sourcing. He has not named his company. He has given his email ID as yahoo.com. So thank you, Anshuman. And the third is Mr. Kunjan Seth from MS Engineers. So see, the winner for the question 3 is Kunjan Seth. So let me do the honors of thanking all the winners and also all the participants and delegates who participated in ICN Play and Win contest.